Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about the card Cavern-Hoard Dragon. For 7 colorless and 2 red, it's a creature dragon 6/6 with this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest number of artifacts an opponent controls, flying, trample, and haste, and whenever Cavern-Hoard Dragon deals combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token for each artifact that player controls. So this is a super interesting design, I think. I think it's a very strong card. I'll get that out of the way first. I think it's incredibly strong, but it is also very well balanced and very well designed. I think it's a treasure hate card for the most part, so it's going to be hating on decks that play a ton of treasures because the discount is going to happen on cast, so they can't really sacrifice the treasures in response. I also think that this is a much better design than Affinity because it doesn't allow you to build around it or to make it busted or to guarantee that it's going to be cheap. Sometimes it's going to cost more and sometimes it's going to cost less. In general, if you're getting this for about 5 mana, I think you're already getting a steal. Anything less than that is going to be absolutely insane. But once this hits the battlefield, it's going to be really, really strong. It feels a little bit like Ancient Copper Dragon, but that card didn't have haste. And this one is much more guaranteed for what you're going to get instead of there being an absolute huge variation from 1 to 20. So I think in some situations it might actually be better than that card, and that is saying a lot because that card is absolutely insane. In most Commander games, there's probably going to be one player with at least 3 or 4 artifacts out. So if you connect and you can guarantee that you're making 4 treasure tokens out of this, then that's going to be really, really good because at that point, you've paid 5 mana for it and you've got 4 treasure tokens immediately, so you're already just 1 mana off for this being a free 6/6 trample flying that's going to give you more treasures. It does kind of punish non-green decks a little bit because they tend to run more mana rocks, and I find that that's kind of interesting because that is a design choice that I'm not always that happy about because I think green already has a lot of advantage because of non-artifact ramp, but still the fact that this can connect immediately and even gets through flying blockers and can immediately provide you value means that it's probably going to be a very solid card to play in almost every board state. I think haste is what really pushes it over the top for me with this card. Without it, this would be okay, and you'd really have to rely on your opponents having a ton of artifacts before this was good. With haste, I think it just becomes so much better because you can just guarantee you're getting a hit in the turn that it comes down, which is really strong. The other interesting part of this design, and the reason I think it's so well balanced, is even though it hates on treasures, your opponents do have the option to sacrifice their treasures before you deal combat damage to them, in which case you're not going to get as many treasures of your own. But that is still hating on treasures in a way because it is forcing them to get rid of those treasures at that time if they want to do so. Very elegant design because it doesn't force them to do it. They can keep their treasures, but if they do, you're going to get a bunch more treasures because of that. As to which decks can really take advantage of this, obviously any treasure-based deck or any deck that is based around artifacts is going to love this. It's really good with Mirkwood Bats, which was just spoiled, but of course it is because that card is insane. In my opinion, it also seems really good with Kibos since that's one of the few effects that allows you to give your opponent artifact tokens. Genesis Chamber seems like it's going to work really well with this too, since you're going to give them artifact tokens that they can't necessarily sacrifice easily, and since they're getting them every time a non-token creature enters the battlefield, it's going to be very hard to play around that and not do it. So I think it is interesting in that sense. There are cards that you can play, or there are cards that you should include if they're already good in your deck that make this better incidentally, but even without much support, it is still a very strong card, and I'm really sure we're going to see this in a lot of Commander games in the near future, but I love that it doesn't seem immediately broken to me. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!